Hey everybody, welcome to TFT, Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with
Oberon.
And me, Banshee. And welcome to our weird week. I'm saying our because it's been a horrible week for us, really, ending. Had some problems.
It's definitely been weird.
It's definitely been weird. So we're going to talk about last week first and see what sense we can make of the cards we drew. And to be honest with you, I was so distracted by a master class in tarot I was taking, I kind of haven't kept my eye on the news as much as I should. But we have a couple of ideas and one that just recently happened, too. Some of these cards were kind of scary last week, Mr. O.
Actually, yes.
Okay, like for example, the major focus or theme for last week's Weird Week, we ended up with the Star reversed, which means a lot of pessimism, a lot of doubts, a lot of fear for the future.
Exactly. It doesn't bode well for the overall collective morale or the overall collective sense of unity.
Let's go through all of these cards and then see what we've got. Then what was even worse was it was followed up with what we will find out or see, the mysteries, and it was the Nine of Swords upright. And that indicates a level of fear, anxiety, and stress. You know, the kinds of things that keep you awake at night. Sometimes they're real, sometimes they're illusory.
Right. Did we need to go that way, or could we have avoided it?
Could it have been a false flag, too, just to stir up fear and discontent? We'll talk about all of this. Card 3, the Eight of Swords reversed, is for what other perspectives need to be considered. And you could look at that card both ways.
Yes, exactly. But, you know, the major way of looking at it is, you know, maybe are we free or are we not? Do we have a balance of motion, or are we restricted?
Well, are we, you know, is something really making us hold back from doing things or saying things? Are we feeling tied down? That would be the upright. But it was reversed, which indicates we should be starting to feel more secure.
Well, and I always feel that because it is the tarot of oppositions, we can kind of see it, the fungibility there.
We do see the fungibility there. So maybe the real message is, what will it take to make us feel unencumbered by self-doubt and possible fear and anxiety?
Yeah, I think you're onto something.
Yeah. And so then card 4 is, what is the overall impact? And that was the Three of Wands.
Ah, well, time to pack up and go, time to feel like there's something better we can do, or we've been waiting for the right time. That's what everything leads to, is like, now is the time, you know, clear the decks for action, to use another, you know, watery
well, the overall impact, you know, this is for the overall impact, so I was having a little bit of trouble with it because the 3 is kind of a card of anticipation. So what are we anticipating, you know? Are we actually going to make a move in a positive direction? Are we anticipating maybe more things to instill fear and anxiety?
Okay.
So card 5, we ended with the Five of Wands reversed. And it's almost as if, you know, and that is the overall impact. Like what could
win the weird
week or not.
And it doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't look good. The Five of Wands, you know, when it's reversed, it's almost as if people are giving up. You know,
so maybe like it's a card of isolation, possibly. You know, people deciding that they really do want to stay behind their borders or whatever, you know, that is.
Well, you know, there was talk about the immigrants in Mexico coming over across the border, you know, because of Title 42 being lifted. That hasn't happened yet, but there was a lot of talk and fear and anticipation of this happening. I don't really think it leaned that way, but we do have some ideas, and one is more global, and one just happened more U.S. related. Let's start with the global one, which happened earlier this past week, maybe about Wednesday, not sure. Russia claims that the Kremlin was attacked by Ukraine. Drones sent from Ukraine to attack the Kremlin and try to assassinate Putin, who wasn't even there at the time. How does that fit? I can see many ways it fits.
Go on.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. O. You sure all right. Let me try it. So basically, with the star reversed, aren't we feeling a little bit kind of like, well, what is up with this? Is this true? Is it not true? Ukraine really would be silly enough to do this and, possibly engender a nuclear response? I had my doubts. I'm sure a lot of people had their doubts. And so there's a lot of pessimism or unsureness. And also, if it's true that Ukraine did this, aren't we a little bit scared as to where this could lead to maybe a nuclear or more escalated conflict?
That's a really good point.
Card 2, the Nine of Swords. There's the anxiety. There's the worries. What's going to happen? What's going to be the reaction from Russia? I really don't believe we saw one yet, right?
Exactly. And of course, a lot of times it is really about what we fear that may be real, but in this case, who knows?
I did read something this week. I didn't get totally shut off from the news, Mr. Owen. You might find this an interesting correlation. Basically, somebody suggested different scenarios as to why Ukraine may have done it or why Russia may have staged it. And it was all interesting both ways. The part for Ukraine was basically that Ukraine was testing Russia's defenses. They really weren't attacking the Kremlin. They wanted to see how far their drone could go. I think that's kind of plausible. But what fits in better with the Nine of Swords and the other card, the Star, they also suggested that Russia could have done this because right now there's a lot of internal strife going on for the war effort. There's been a lot of things happening under the surface there. He's been losing support again. And also even the Wagner group, his group in Bakhmut, was threatening kind of to leave the city. And so could it have been a false flag to say, look this war is justified. Ukraine hates us. They're coming and attacking us.
Invoking fear, national patriotism,
anxiety, and confusion and pessimism.
Very interesting.
Trying to keep people into the war effort. Things to think about. So card 3 is card 4, I'm sorry, we covered card 4, or card 3. Card 4, we covered card 4 too. Let's go back to card 5 though, the Five of Wands. We covered it all, didn't we? We were actually recapping. So basically you could see how it could fit that, but on the other hand, we just had another terrible mass shooting in Texas. And can we really even keep up with it in the U.S.? We have a mass shooting almost every week, maybe almost practically every day now. Somebody's shooting up somewhere, and it's getting to be a real crisis. So we can also see how this could affect people's optimism or feelings for the future, keeping them up at night. Can I go to a store and feel safe? Can I send my child to the movies or a school and feel they're going to be safe there, or to the mall? And also with the Eight of Swords reversed, are we free to live our lives the way we want, or aren't we? Right? And then finally, the anticipation. Are we just waiting for the next shoe to drop, the next big thing to happen? And finally, the Five of Wands. We just don't seem to feel there's much hope. We're ready to give up instead of trying to find solutions to what is wrong.
Well, we also know that in the news there are things going on politically and legally, some of the things that were going on with grand juries and things like that. And some of this may apply to that. I don't know that we can go specifically into that, but there were different things going on. There were different people who finally did testify who had previously not, things of that sort. So it was probably an interesting week, and it may be that there isn't a thread between all of those cards and one other particular subject, but maybe facets of them are showing up in some of the other events of this last week.
Well, Let's see what this week
We
has.
welcome any comments you have.
Absolutely. Or any observations or things, episodes that we may have missed.
All right.
All right. Especially in your own land and countries. We know Britain had the coronation, but I don't see anything here that would correlate to that.
I was thinking about that in my head as you were talking, and I couldn't quite see that.
Yeah. So, I mean, there, think about it and do keep us posted. We'd love to hear your thoughts on what these cards could have indicated.
So let's get going then, and we're working with the Twin Tarot.
The Twin Tarot to find out what the major focus, theme, or tone for this week ahead is going to be this weird week. And this is a double major arcana deck with one side being upright, or one card being upright, and the other set being reversed. So we shall see. I'm going to cut them. It's the Empress, and the Empress is reversed. Great start. Not. I think, it's interesting because right now there's a lot of people upset in Texas and whatnot. So whether this is going to relate to the mass shooting issue or some other issues, it could indicate that, we're in need some serious self-care. We need to do some serious self-checking about, our lives. Maybe perhaps people, need to feel, are feeling very stressed, very disoriented. And in order to tackle the problems we face, we really have to get our heads, our hearts, and our bodies together.
Well, at some sort of subliminal overall level, the Empress and reversed represents maybe Mother Nature, maybe the idea that there's supreme stagnation going on in spiritual and material realms, that some of this could be the effects of pollution, storms, all kinds of climate activity, as well as a lot of people are sneezing more than ever, coughing more than ever. It just seems like there's always something going on with people's respiratory.
I heard in Alberta, Canada, a day or two ago that there were hundreds of wildfires burning.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't have to be U.S. We do try to cover more as best as I can follow news reports. So we could be facing a natural occurrence, I don't want to say a climate disaster, but it could be storms. It could be something like that again affecting us.
We just heard recently in most of the states and perhaps parts of Canada and other areas that temperatures are quickly, moving warmer. We have broken with the colder aspects of spring. And, lately warming temperatures have seemed to be a little bit more aggressive in other parts of the world. So I wouldn't be surprised if that could happen here too, and that maybe within this next week we might hear of warmer, hotter than normal temperatures in certain parts of the area.
Well, I'm sure we are, but I'm not sure that alone is what constitutes this card.
You're right. It could be the things that happen with it.
Right.
The various fronts meeting each other, because there's still a lot of that happening. I don't think
we have to, it's hard for me to say if we have to worry much about wildfires, maybe in parts of California that did not get hit with the rain.
Maybe more rain?
Flooding is definitely possible right now, and also just the severity of some of the storms we have been seeing nationwide.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's your turn, Mr. O. Why don't you go ahead with the next
And so
card?
this is what we will or need to find out. And I use the Secrets Tarot, so the idea being that maybe this is something that is not necessarily widely known, but will be or should be.
All right. Oh, I'm going to shuffle first. That's why you have them by me. Gotcha. What will we find out or see? What the heck will the mysteries be related to this? Let's see.
And it's the Ten of Cups.
Maybe,
Upright.
oh, that almost flies into what well, it could be both. And I'll explain why, or maybe
Okay.
you'll catch it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so with what I said about how we need to get our heads together, and our minds and bodies, there's just a lot of anxiety. There's just a lot of apathy too going on, and it could be because of depression, hopelessness, all the things that the Empress reversed would say is self-care oriented. So the Ten of Cups maybe indicates, like in a place like Texas right now that's having a mass casualty, and some of the places that have suffered them recently, more people coming together. More people coming together to try to nurture each other, try to find solutions that can make everybody feel better.
There's something that's,
That's the first one.
This is a universal card reading in a sense. I mean, this is a reading for the Supreme Collective. And so the Ten of Cups is nothing less than maybe the Supreme Collective of all of us, hearts, minds, bodies. And the thing is that in any given family, you don't love everybody the same way, but you do kind of more or less love everybody unconditionally as the concept of family. And we're talking about, this is the metaphor for the family of man. And maybe what we will find out this week, or what we should find out, is that we really should figure out how to all take care of each other.
And according to what Mr. O is speaking about as far as climate goes, this could be communities that are hit by storms, that are pulling themselves together and reaching out, helping their neighbors, etc. Could be something like that, right?
It could. I mean, I guess we don't know if this is any one particular thing, but so far that does seem to coincide. In general, I just think that going to a general level, what happens in this week maybe is testing our concept of who is in our family, the family of humanity.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Card 3 is the Tarot of Oppositions, which I'll shuffle first, which is our joint deck, and what other perspectives need to be considered. Oh, and I can't shuffle here. He is not giving me the room.
Even in good times.
He is not giving me the room I need. I gotta...
Oh, Sonny, we're not even live.
I know. We couldn't go live. All kinds of tech issues today.
Yes, this show is being filmed Sunday evening.
We can film video, but we can't go live.
Right.
Don't understand it. Shuffle. I can't even get at my computer. He keeps doing this. Stay there. Stay. Thank you, Sonny. I dare not say anything, though, because then he'll like, oh, you want me? And don't worry about him. He's purring away down here, despite my pushing him around. Can't figure this cat out.
No comment.
Glutton for punishment.
All right. Tarot of Oppositions, other perspectives to consider.
Well, the good news is it's upright. But
it is that card that it is.
It's the card we had for card 4 last week.
Oh.
And it's upright.
The Three of Wands?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So what other perspectives need to be considered, Mr. O?
Well, the other perspectives to consider are where we have advantage to move forward and time or opportunity to do that, or where we don't, because I also consider that possibly fungible area. And so that maybe this is saying that for some of the things we will need to do, maybe if it's working with the aggressive climate situation or if it's working with other situations, we will need to be more planned and resourceful, but we may need to also be able to respond sort of quickly to a retreat mode if necessary when things are not going the way we thought.
Well, that's kind of nice, Mr. O. You know what I think, though, when I want to combine these energies?
Okay.
I'm thinking that maybe what this is saying is we have to scrap or abandon plans and thinking, ideologies or plans that have not been working. You know, we may have to go back to the drawing board, rethink, you know, where we're going and move forward anew to achieve what we want to achieve here.
Well, that's the reverse side though, right?
Yes. But I'm just saying in order to move forward, which is the upright side.
We have to consider those actions.
That's where I was going.
Which is basically scrapping plans that don't work, which is what you said. I like that even better. You're
well, I
right.
like yours, but I thought of this and I thought I'd throw it out there.
Well, they both work a little bit, you know.
We're going to just pat both of ourselves on the head today.
All right, so then we move on to card 4. What is the overall impact? And we use the emotional...
Banshee's Healing Light Tarot.
I was going to say the Emotional Light Tarot. No, it's the Healing Light Tarot.
You were just going to plug your emotional exchanges again, weren't you?
Why would I do that?
I do not know. All right. I can cut him here this time. Woohoo. He just had to do a circle around the camera.
No,
there.
so rude.
So him. Uh-oh, another card from last...
And then he moved the camera by bumping into it.
Another card from last week. The first card from last week. Reversed again.
Oh dear, the star reversed.
The overall impact.
That was in the tone or focus of the week. This is in the
overall impact.
Proceed.
Oh, me?
Yes,
I thought I'd go, well, first all the time. Well, look at you. I feel that the star reversed could indicate the overall impact of all of this. You know, even though people want to come together, even though people are feeling anxious, but yet they want to come together, the work involved in fixing what is wrong may just seem so daunting. People are and maybe there's just still such a divide in mindset over what needs to be accomplished or done. Maybe some people don't want to change. Maybe some people do. And so therefore, there's a lot of pessimism and doubt and uncertainty about the future.
In the context of this reading, I do think that the star reverse could talk about what we call change resistors, ingrained or not, people of any political extraction, but more likely just people who don't like the change of things. And so we see that everywhere. And so the idea behind what we wanted to basically consider and use as, guidelines is not going to be considered by some of these people. They're never going to be able to do that. They don't see a future that includes them or a destiny that feels good for them.
Right.
Is that the challenge then for everybody else to figure out how to make those people feel lifted up? Or is it not possible? The card in number 2, what we'll find out is that this is a question about who is in our universe or unconditional loving, family, community. And so maybe there are people who aren't, maybe those are people who are very extreme with their kinds of ideologies or feelings about living in communities. So finally, what could win the weird week? The possible strategies or outcomes.
Or not.
Or not. And I'm using my Global
Fusion Tarot?
Global Fusion Intuitive Tarot.
Oh.
I don't remember the entire title. The Global Fusion Intuitive Tarot. I say it every week, so I don't know why I stumbled on it this week. But I love it. It's by Wayne Rodney. It's a beautiful deck. What could win the weird week? And it's the High Priestess. And she's upright.
Wow, the two powerful, you know, female caricatures in the
beginning
tarot.
and the end.
Yeah. But unfortunately in the beginning it's reversed, but the High Priestess is upright at the end. Wow.
Well, I think this is saying, of course, that those of us who can will, and that mostly applies to people who can approach the deep dive into their intellect and intuitive wisdom. And so this is not necessarily people who have hard brain instincts that don't serve a universal community. I hate to make it look like it's that way, but you know, if you're, you know, not really feeling the community of humankind, then this isn't going to happen for you.
Well, I think it's a real interesting ending here. It almost seems as though this is a week for a lot of, I don't know, but I would say this about the High Priestess. So what could win the weird week if people really look deeper at the issues we face, whatever these issues are, whether it's the storms and the damage and the way they're destroying communities, whether it's the gun violence and the way it's destroying communities, not just the mass shootings, but also shootings in our major cities across the country, or something else in the world, you know, the class divides, the war in Ukraine. We have to do a deeper dive and search our souls for the answers. I'm not sure this is saying get religion. I'm not saying that, but search your souls and your heart for the way forward. You know, it occurs to me that the one thing that we didn't tie to last week's cards was finding out more about the corruption in politics. That my gosh, the Supreme Court. And we could have talked a bit about that. Maybe that was it. Yeah, that might have been it, you know. Yeah. Questions about that come up. But I could still see it playing out here, too, that if you're wanting to really change some of these pictures, you have to be willing to accept certain truths or to search for them and to really feel what they are. And if you only have your own objectives in mind, if you're not willing to be more objective itself, then you won't be part of the solution. Right. Wow. Heady, interesting reading for next week. You know, it's going to be hard for me to pen what this is unless we see something big happening. And really, you know, that mass shooting in Texas really does fit what happened last week. Yeah. Let's hope we don't have any kind of a major storm disaster or another shooting like this, and that it's just a moment in time where we are all processing, you know, or even an escalation of conflict in Ukraine, etc. That we all take some time to process our way forward through all of this, a healthy way forward, because the Empress reverse demands that. We need to find healthy solutions. Do we need to recap this? Do you want to? Well, I started there in a way. We need to find healthy solutions. We need to take care of ourselves more and care for everyone. Care for the planet, which may be screaming out to us right now with all the violent weather we've been having. Right, and that, of course, is what you just said. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to feel the loving family community. What you say. Mm-hmm. And we need to possibly consider the fact that if we want to move forward, we may have to start from scratch and abandon plans that have not been working for us. Totally right. We can't necessarily move forward with what we have done before. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So the overall impact is some of us feel very destitute here, and maybe some of us will be spurred to look at the way things can change, but maybe some of us won't. It may be a hard time.
Absolutely. You know, I feel here that the overall impact is still just a sense that it feels hopeless, trying to pull hearts and minds together to do what needs to be done. And ultimately, we've got the High Priestess, which says we have to search our souls. We have to truly, truly come up with heartfelt, soulful solutions.
And you know, so this is what could win the Weird Week, but it could be that something happens. We alluded to possibilities of aggressive climate things or other things happening, you know, more gun violence, more extreme situations that could maybe finally bring us to this point. But, you know, God or Goddess, you know, it shouldn't have to take all of that. You know, we should be able to figure it out. We should be able to bring more light. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it.
Love it.
But I don't love it because I wish things were better. I hope we can come up with some solutions to our pressing issues. All right, everybody. That's our Weird Week for this week. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see
Stay
you again
tuned next week when we recap and try to figure out what the heck these cards are leading to. Hey, take care, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.